Then on a day which sorted out...
They were giving trials for broadcasting in Irish for St. Patrick's Day. This would be 2 weeks before it. A crowd of us went down for a day's fun, and I was lucky enough to be selected to do the Railway Cup the following St. Patrick's Day, just 2 weeks away. Pure chance.
In the right place at the right time as well.
Good deal.
Paddy, what about you? You've got casting.
I suppose when you make a mistake, or the fear of making a mistake, knowing that there'd be thousands and thousands listening, and you'd always hope to give them an accurate account of what's happening.
But your job
now,
must be
I remember
so difficult.
one day, now, I'll always admit to making mistakes. I remember one day, and he was partly responsible, he was with me. A sub came on in a Munster hurling team. I gave the number according to the programme, having checked in the dressing room that all subs would wear the proper numbers. Now, I happened to be calling him for the rest of the game, I think somebody, Paddy McNamara from County Clare, when in fact it was Gerard Muircheartaigh of Cork. They never let me forget it in Cork.
Is that right?
And I sent him out at one stage. I thought he was hurling a little bit too good to be somebody from Clare that was never heard of before. And he came back with a little thing written down, McNamara of Clare. But that was a mistake. Now, it was a... well...
Yeah. But of course, people always remember the mistakes, don't they, in particular?
Yeah, well, they remember it good-humouredly down in Cork.
Well, I'm glad to hear that. Stay with us.
Absolutely. He was a great man to work with. I love the Irish language, as indeed does Micheál, as we know.
But
a little weakness, Bibi. I worry a little bit about the grammar from time to time, but sure, I had the right man sitting beside me. And I'd come in on a Wednesday morning and say, Micheál, I have about 10 things here, will you check them with me? And he'd say, you're a bit too all right, Tashid all right. And I'd say, yes, but is it hatta an badora or hatta an vadora? And he'd say, look, you'll be fine. So anyway, we'd check out our little pointy, and after the programme, I'd say, how did I do, Micheál? And he'd say, grand. I'd say, seriously now, though, how did I do out of 10? And he'd say, well, poor enough this week, about 4.5.
Mean enough, Martha, mean enough. Well, Jacko, Micheál, the trainer, what are his greatest assets, would you say?
Like Moran has said, I think he brought the gentleman to the training in the football field as well. I think his greatest assets would be that the respect that he had for everybody. I would say from my own point of view, I never really said this to Micheál, but I always felt that he took a lot of respect out of the way I was playing and took a lot of satisfaction out of the performances I was giving. And I think he always made me feel the respect that he had for me. He always said that he was never really a footballer himself, so the best thing he could do was become a trainer. So we had some great times together, and I think he's responsible quite for the career I've had. I think he, more than anybody else, has helped me, because I felt when I came to Dublin first, I think it was around 16 years ago I met him first, that there was a lot of my games need to be polished, a lot of different skills I had need to be polished up here and there. And I think, like a good greyhound trainer, he found the faults that I had, and he tried to rectify those. And the ability to bring out the best in an individual, like a greyhound trainer, the ability to bring out the best in somebody. And I always felt that he had that with me, you know.
And Micheál, do you have any real qualifications as a trainer? I mean, what are the specifics?
None whatsoever. But neither did Mick O'Dwyer have qualified. He never had a certificate or anything.
Did he not?
I know he played in 10 All-Ireland finals, which I didn't. But maybe looking at all the great players over the years, you learned a little bit from all of them, going back as far as Paddy Vaughan's times.
Yeah. What about, though, the great Kerry team of the mid-70s and the early 80s? Because I'm sure you'd like to say a few words about them.
Well, Dingle people especially are terribly modest, and Dingle is part of Kerry, so we wouldn't like to say that the team...
Micheál, I've just done a show in Killarney, and they did nothing but only boast about Killarney for the whole night. There wasn't an air of modesty among them.
Bibi, we always felt in the Kerry team, if there was more than one Dingle man on, it wasn't a good sign, so we had to keep as few Dingle men on as possible.
And good thinking too, Jacko.
Yeah, but Bibi, the team of the 70s, I'm sure most people would regard it certainly one of the greatest teams of all time, if not the greatest team of all time.
Well, the Dubs wouldn't regard that, I can tell you.
Well, one of the greatest teams. There were two great teams.
Yeah, yeah. What about the team at the moment, Jacko? It's not doing so well. I was talking to Sean Kelly there a while ago, chairman of the county board down in Kerry.
I think people have the wrong impression. I think that, as Micheál said, we had a great team, and a lot of the lads kind of retired together. And it's not that easy to replace such a number of players at the one time. But we're quietly doing a lot of work behind the scenes. We're getting a few good results lately. I don't think we have put in a real bad performance in the last 12 months. I'd like to meet you in 2 years' time. I'm sure you won't say that to me.
Well, no, we'll keep you to that. We'll hold you to that.
Kerry and Donegal for this year's final.
Well, no, I couldn't agree with you more. And aren't they doing terrifically well in Donegal?
Very well, very well.
I think so too. Paddy, what about you? You're particularly interested in GA?
Interested in
as well?
GA. Go to Croke Park every Sunday. There's anything worthwhile on there, and
Yeah.
I followed GA all my life. Went into the box with Micheál for many, many years.
What
a
do
lot
you
of people
think
said
about
that
him?
I was a ventriloquist.
What do you think about him as a commentator?
He's a great commentator. He's a great commentator. I really think he's a great commentator. That's not because he's my brother. I think he's fantastic. I marvel at his phrases every time I listen to him.
A lot of people do.
Okay.
You slithered into Croke Park, though, one Sunday on his good name. Now, tell the story. The security men got you.
Yeah, well, I was having trouble. I had no tickets, and I had no ticket for my car, and I was having trouble with the security people. So I eventually said to them, my name is Muircheartaigh, I'm known around here. And
That was
no
that.
problem.
Did the trick.
Escort us in the box.
See? See? Micheál, I hope he paid you for it.
Oh, yeah.
I hope so. Maida, the last time we saw you actually was on the Late Late
That's
with your
right.
husband, and you were leaving.
He didn't get married until he was fairly surely shoving on a bit, but he didn't waste any time when he did get married. But yeah, I've helped him on a few occasions to change a few nappies here and there. Helena, we would give her a break now and again, and there was always one or two of them in nappies in the house, and at the one time in the house.
And are you any good at changing nappies, Jack?
Oh, at this stage I'm excellent.
Oh, yeah.
Plenty of practice.
I'm still ahead of him. Yeah.
But there was
Are
one.
you?
There was
You
one.
have 8, Micheál. How many children do you have, Jack?
I have 4.
4.
So
Oh, God, you have a bit of catching up to
I'm not doing
do.
too bad.
And he has 7 All-Ireland medals.
But there was one thing, Bibi, that you know, Micheál's kids, as I said, they all came quite close together, you know, and it's a kind of a tradition in most, a lot of families, that there'd be a Sacred Heart picture, and when the child was christened, that the name would be put on the Sacred Heart picture after each child. So after each child, there was always a comma put in, like there was never, the full stop was never coming.
Well, now we know why. Oh, Micheál, all your secrets are coming out tonight, I'm afraid. We have to leave it there for the moment. Can I say, how do they let you home to Kerry? Of course, it's for Dublin. They're a lovely, lovely group of musicians. They're being trained and taught by Patsy Toland from Donegal. And I want you in particular to pay attention to my little pet, Birin, who is a humdinger on the Bibi Byron, as you'll see just now. Please welcome them. Most famous man that ever came out of Dingle, and I want you to introduce me.
Definitely. Some people say St. Brendan came from Dingle, but he wasn't as famous as this man here, the great Paddy Brosnan.
Paddy Brown. Well, give them a lovely welcome. Paddy,
Bibi, Paddy played for Kerry beginning in 1938. If there were all-stars in the 50s, he'd still be getting them better.
Do you
Now,
reckon?
the first game I ever broadcast, Paddy was playing. It was great consolation to me. If I got stuck, I could talk about Paddy for a week, so I wasn't a bit afraid. Now, Paddy might remember that game, the Railway Cup final, Paddy, of 1949.
Well, I don't remember the game, but I remember what happened after the game.
What happened after the game, Paddy?
We drew it in Leinster on Patrick's Day. It fell on the Thursday. So we stayed in Dublin anyway until the Sunday. The replay was on the Sunday. So we had a good few jars at Thursday night, and we had a good few jars on Friday.
And on
So
Saturday?
they decided anyway that the lads that weren't drinking went to Croke Park for a gallop. So they brought us out to the zoo. It was an awful place to go after being sick. So we were out there anyway. Says I was dying.
And what happened on the match on the Sunday
Well,
then?
Sunday morning, Youngie was playing in the hurling on Thursday, and they won, and he came up for the match on Sunday. So they told him about me, and I was thinking, all right. So
I want to get the result of this match. You know, I have no
Yes.
chance. Carry on,
Well,
carry on.
he came into my room anyway, and he put me out of the bed. And he gave me this thing to drink. Andrew's liver salt. I never took Andrew's liver salt in my life. I said, nearly dying. I think it was when it was down here, I said, it started to fizz. But we played on a Sunday anyway, and Teddy Condon and I, we had a blinder. We beat Leinster. So Jim Barry, we must have played well. Jim Barry doesn't slow it for us.
I'll tell you, Bibi, it was the biggest win that Munster ever had, that replay on the Sunday. From going from Thursday to Sunday without going to bed, Paddy.
That's, well,
Well, no. Well, I hope that's not what you tell your fellas to do. Paddy, thank you very much for coming all the way to be with us. And I know you have your minder with you, Micheál. Is tusan minder tag in the car?
Well, hána job ar hurtan versa femar sólda tá stíl hénige. Bhí stíl hénige mar sta geile na chitóig agus jo fadra bhfuil bhig ach tá stíl hén leis go an báit agus má hosna géine stocha túnscon tú sóireachta in angan í chúise le hédí ferry bán an sa hosna agus tá mí anna bhórála has mar gealar sin. Agus muidir bhfuil hirsta chuma dar nó Paddy Powerhouse mar a thugam mí déad an sa thuas tá mí anna bhórálach go bhfuil sé siúd rinne gus na firgnó is éidirmiúla dúirt sé héin let go raibh láintigh agus go raibh tális ach tá sé rinne gus na daine a biúla sa tí agus tá mí anna bhhaachta mar gealar sin agus ní bháin gur ferma gnó i Bibi ach tá nach déan diantaige sanna choultúid agus Micheál mar a sóldait an sa duine gus na trachtarí súntaí ar a bhréomhagan nuair a bhíonn sé a trachtaricht bíonn sé a túirt ólas dit ar an action na háide báid díreach sé san nám céanna le céan breicfeistigh idir cáráidir a réad cén sin sena heidir bhí go maiile an nóhéanrad tá cumas úntachaige agus má há Paddy go mar istigh istigan go chéon seomara sa tír tá Micheál istigan na gríthe mar ten sé fuad na tír ar fad go dtís na cumin go dtís na díréir blion túla bhíanacha agus is breáilíon na grí é bheith a láthir tá mí anna bhórálachas agus ba bhreáilinn má sampleíad so a bhainte a dagan go raibh hún an dagan ó régan na Bibi agus seo dhéanamh sa dagan.
Well, ní bhachas gat nach níalach mu sin na mahan seo. Gur bhíle maithe gat Micheál ó sé. Seán síochan é sin, nuair sé se raig. Seán síochan. Seanachí, mé dearthe den seanachí ag bans leis an bhar seo nuair a bhíonn sé a créaladh.
Well, sin túirim láidir a thagam agus is stoiln gur béb an bonús a bhíle seo ná his first years as a primary teacher where he had to instruct and describe and explain to the pupils and then took that up to a higher level when he was as a secondary teacher in O'Connell schools. And then again, taking an example from his students, he did his homework on every team, on every individual player and all the rest. And to crown all that, I am fully satisfied that he wouldn't be the great commentator that he is, but for the fact that he took a lot of examples from his Dangany Húise background, the work of the Shanachí, explaining and telling little stories. The play might be stopped, the ball out of play, Micheál was into one of these anecdotes. And the play came back again and one felt there was no stoppage in the play. So for all these reasons, he is one of our greatest. Gur míle maith agat a bhí.
Gur maithe gat a
Now, next man, he's travelled a long way to see you and to be with you.
No, it's not to be with me at all, it's to see you.
Eddie Costello, all the way from London. And anybody here that has a good greyhound for sale, that's the man that'll buy him. Eddie Costello. Right? Yeah. The greatest gift and boon to greyhound racing ever in this country. He'll buy the good ones, he'll race them. He wants to win the derbies, English, Irish, always there on the big night. And fortunately, he did win the derby one time. Eddie Costello, Roscommon man, I think.
Is that right?
That's right.
You were in the commentator's box one evening of a derby, weren't you, with Micheál?
Well, I was there a couple of times, but I think the best laugh I've seen come out of Michael for a long time was after the semi-finals of the English Derby last year. He had to interview the owners of the favourite. And Micheál started off his interview saying like this: I am sitting here between two privileged people, Patsy Burns from Duwa and His Royal Highness Prince Edward. And then he went on to say, now then, Prince, tell me your reaction to that great race.
Not school. Tell me not schooled very well in the etiquette, Eddie.
I mean, Prince Edward absolutely burst into laughter, but did carry on to have a very long interview with him after.
You must have been the first person from RTE. Would you have been to interview him?
Well, I wouldn't know that. He'd be a great friend now of Eddie and all the Madri people in London. Oh, yes.
Which Eddie do you mean, Prince Eddie or this one?
Edward and Eddie, it's the same. It's Eamon.
It's all the same.
It's Eamon in Irish. And Troon say Eamon.
Yeah, yeah.
And Eddie, I remember a great dog you had, Eddie Calandra Champ. Do you remember the
one
night
of your
that he
great
didn't
favourites.
win the derby?
Yeah, I think somebody told me you were broadcasting the Munster Cup, the Munster final the following day, and you spent more time, talking about Calandra Champ getting beat than your commentary on the game.
A costly stumble on the way.
On the way out, yeah.
Well, Eddie, thanks a million for coming all the way from London to be with us. You're very kind indeed. Little round of applause for Eddie.
You know him.
I do.
A friend of mine, Ian Carr.
Radio sports journalist.
Radio Sport.
Your
You'll find him there 7 days a week.
Your boss very often on a Sunday.
Always.
And you play golf with him, Ian, as well.
Well, to say golf with him it's not really golf, it's a sort of a thinly disguised form of psychological warfare, which starts before you even get to the first tee. He's a great man, and when you're togging out, he'll say to you, I hear you're playing very well, Ian, and that the putting has come back. Now, since you haven't been aware that it's gone, in the first case, you stand over the first putt and you're saying to yourself, what's he talking about? And you miss. And this continues all the way around the track. And another thing about him when you're playing golf with him is probably the most important words in golf are, I'll give you that one. Now, they do not enter into his vocabulary. 18 inches, he'll always say to you, you look up plaintively at him, can I have this? And he'll let no, you'll feel a lot better if you hold that. What in fact he means is that he'll feel a lot better when you miss it, which I
Dirty enough,
do.
Ian.
But I would like to, earlier on somebody was saying there isn't a malevolent bone in his body. I would like to be able to say on the golf course there is, but the awful thing about him is that irrespective of whether he wins or loses, and he's very competitive and he's also a desperate bandit, he never changes at all. He seems to get great delight out of the ball hop all the time, and the game to some extent becomes secondary, but he's just terrific on the golf course, but he's terrific everywhere else anyway. He's the most optimistic person I know. He wakes up every day thanking God, I think, that he's alive, and the best thing I can say about him is the rest of us should thank God that he's alive as well.
Thank you very much, Ian Carr. Thank you.
How long them clowning, so
A lot of your family are here.
lots of family. The
Yeah.
last of the previous generation, we all know him. He's known everywhere as Uncle Joe.
And Uncle Joe, you're very welcome.
Nearer to 90 than 80. Agus peth here and show me van Kayla Helena at the end.
Your wife, Helena, yeah?
Wife Helena, Esther there, Padraig's, Mrs. or Padraig's boss, I suppose. Eileen O'Shea married to my brother Donald. My sister Eileen married to Mick Devine. Maura married to John Davis. Kathleen, the young one, on Lanav. Post the Bill Barry. And their daughter there, Catherine Agus Dinner, the clown Maura, and son come Howligan Derry.
And Padraig's children are also
family,
here.
Their son-in-law there, Dermot Heffernan. That's Maeve, the one with the glasses. Emer, they say she looks like himself. Sinead Farcaled, Shin Eric. Sinead Dermot, I don't know where he found her. I didn't see her before. Padraig's son and John and his wife there, Agus Agard.
And Micheál, I am so glad that you haven't brought the whole family with you because we really would be out of time. Can I say thank you very much, Micheál Muircheartaigh, Agus Paddy Muircheartaigh, as the vetling in Ocht. And we have to leave you rather quickly with yet another newcomer to television, 21-year-old from the...
Game tied at a point apiece.